Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Below the 38th. Now it's time for the weekend that was. This week you'll notice we've not got Andrew with us, and that means there's only the beauty and the brains. So Mike, which would you like to be?
We can let the audience decide, I think. Should we put a poll?
Let's try and do that. Do we have to pay on
Neither
Twitter
of the
to have
above.
polls? Yeah, neither of the above. Very good. So yeah, we are running down K-League football. We've got Division 1, Division 2, we've got the Women's League and a bit of Division 3 as well today, I believe. Remember, if you're interested in K-League football, please check out our websites. We're on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. You can follow us at Below the 38th.
So, of course, we'll start from the top with a weekend of goals in K-League 1. So, obviously, you're a K-League 1 man, aren't you? So, can you run us through what's happened?
I'm a K-League 1 man this year. Wasn't so much last year. We start at the top, literally with Seoul playing at home to Daejeon. Now, we picked this out as probably one of the more interesting games from K1 last week, and it didn't disappoint. Seoul were unbeaten all season, but Daejeon turned up and actually got a win. It was a fairly even game, and it was one of those that could have gone either way. In the end, it was Yu Gang-hyun who got the goal for Daejeon. It was the only goal of the game, and Seoul are now defeated. They've lost a game. They're still top of the league, so it doesn't make that much of a difference as things stand, but there's a chink in the armour. At the same time, it was reigning champions Jeonbuk travelling to Gangwon FC, and this was an early kickoff that saw 2 goals, a goal each, and points shared. After that, we had Incheon United travelling to Bucheon for the 0-3-2 derby that we talked about on last week's pod. Incheon started the game really well. They went 2-0 up in the first 25 minutes, and at half-time it looked like it was one-way traffic and only going one way. But unfortunately, Bucheon got back into the game. Fair play to them. They took their goals well. And in the end, I think a point each was a fair result. The manager after the game for Incheon was not very happy. Maybe we can talk about that later. Draw specialist Gimcheon, it will surprise you to hear, managed a draw this weekend. They took the trip to Jeju Island and their game finished 1-1. That's 7 games that have been drawn out of a maximum of 8 games. The only team that beat them, Incheon United. For Jeju, it's a good point. They're going on a bit of a run. They've put together a few decent results recently, and compared to a few weeks ago, they've finally got a few games up where they've won points and they've moved up the table. Now into Sunday. There was a really big game on Sunday where you had a team that's well fancied this year in Ulsan HD facing Gwangju, who have been struggling. Now, most people would have expected this to be an easy win for Ulsan, and it was. Ulsan took the lead early on and there was an immediate equaliser, but 2 goals from Macau put Ulsan in control. It wasn't until after the 90 minutes were up that Ulsan were able to put gloss on the scoreline, and the game finished 5-1. The final game of the weekend in K-League 1 was Pohang versus Anyang, 2 teams that have been up and down this year. They both struggled for form, they both struggled for consistency, and it's not really surprising that a single goal won the game. Pohang had a lot more of the ball, they had a lot more opportunities, they had a lot of shots on target, but Anyang took their chance, they defended well, and they returned to Gyeonggi-do with 3 points from the Steelyard. Good weekend of goals, good weekend of action, and a few surprising results.
Missing a key detail in all that, though. Former Ansan youngster Chae Gong-ju was the hero for Anyang.
There we go. Everybody loves a fairy tale story.
Got to get that in.
Claim to fame.
Right. So let's take a look at the K1, because unlike the K2, the K1 is still quite unpredictable. We don't really have a proper breakaway just yet, though it is starting to form a little bit. But Seoul are top. They've got 19 points, but they don't have that game in hand anymore, meaning Ulsan are chasing them 3 points off the pace. And of course, the other Hyundai team, Jeonbuk, are third with the 12 points. But then, best of the rest, Gangwon, Bucheon, Anyang, all on 10 points. And then we have Daejeon, Jeju and Pohang, -1 from that for 9. And then Incheon in 10th on 8 points, with Gimcheon 11th on 7th, and Gwangju, well, maybe I'll get to see them next year, as they are bottom on 6. So that's only 6 points separating third and bottom, to be honest. So Gwangju could still very much be in the Champions League. So it's hard to read much into things this early. Of course, the K1 likes to have midweek fixtures this year. It's very convenient for many fans, as Luke can attest to, I'm sure. But let's just quickly run through those, because the B38 will be actually at least 2 of these games. So we've got Seoul v Bucheon on Tuesday, Gimcheon Gangwon, so a draw there on Tuesday as well, and then Jeonbuk play Incheon on Tuesday night. Quite an exciting one, that one, I think, actually. That we might actually begin to see the separation of the pack, or even more condensing if there's no winner or Incheon win there. Wednesday, Daejeon take on Jeju. Can Daejeon actually carry that momentum through? You'd think so, but we'll see. Anyang take on Ulsan. You might see some footage from B38 from that game, as we'll be covering that as well. And then Pohang might be the latest team. Pohang need a win after what happened to them at the weekend, so that would be the latest team to put 5 past Gwangju.
It's interesting because they have conceded 5 goals twice now in 3 or 4 games. I think it's 4 games, 5 of 3. The conceding 1 against Bucheon and then conceding 5 again at the weekend. I mean, they were very unlucky. They fought for 90 minutes, but I think they just ran out of steam. And it was 2 injury time goals that kind of flattered with the scoreline. But things are not looking good for Gwangju. I don't know where the form's going to come from. I mean, they could end up just not getting any more points until the next play Incheon, but we'll see. Okay, so now we're going to drop down into K-League 2, and Mike, we've all been fairly impressed with how Busan have started the season. I don't think any of us particularly predicted them to be doing as well as they are doing, but yeah, tell us what's happening with Busan.
Well, obviously I'm going to start with the pride of Busan that they are this season. They just don't stop at all, do they? They dispatched promotion rivals 2-1, Suwon 2-1. With Javier scoring and making one, so he's having a great season. By the way, this is Suwon FC, not the other one. So Suwon dominated the game, but Busan, they're basically a team of hornets, aren't they? They just, once they attack, it's just raw aggression, and bang, they'll score. I'll be honest, I think Ansan gave it a really good account against Busan, but once Busan attack, no team's really been able to resist it this season, so they remain 3 points clear and still undefeated. Who predicted that early in the season?
Not me.
Well, nobody. But Blue Wings, they're still going. They're second, and they did get a win after a few weeks off with a 1-0 win down in Changwon. I'm sure fireworks, absolute scenes, balloons going off, etc.
Umbrellas, confetti.
Absolutely, but they broke the deadlock 10 minutes from time, courtesy of Park Ji-won. So I think there was probably a lot of worry there. But Busan, they've scored 18 goals already this season. That's the most in the league. And with goals scored more important than goal difference, it's almost like Busan are 4 points clear, not just 3 points. Boring. Blue Wings have scored 10 by comparison. So a big difference there. But I think Blue Wings fans were probably preoccupied with the Suwon Legends game anyway against Manchester United, or the OG Legends, on Sunday Eve. And you can check out a lot of footage on YouTube and Instagram, some fantastic interviews on there as well. That can occupy a full journey to work, and you'll be fully entertained with footage from the stands by Andrew on that. So check that one out. After this, of course. Eland, they keep going. They sit third, 3 points behind Blue Wings, but 3 points ahead of Suwon. So they're beginning to finally establish themselves as probably one of the 3 teams that are going to get the automatic promotion spots now. They beat Ansan 2-0 at Doha Stadium. I was at that game. A few celebrations for Ansan because 2 VAR goals were chalked off, but that's as good as it got for the Greeners really all afternoon. Elands, they're in gear now. They look very, very good. That's not just an industrious performance, but one with flair as well. So that's going to be a really, really intriguing tussle for the top two spots. It really is now. Suwon FC, they're fourth now. They haven't won in 3 after that really, really strong start. But if they have got a game in hand, so they could get right back into the promotion conversation if they can win that whenever that swings around. But I think we're starting to see a more defined top 4 now in the K-League 2. A lot more than we're seeing a clear picture in the K1, I'd say, anyway. Pardew, they're the surprise. They're in 5th, an impressive 1-0 win at Songnam. And Gimpo, a lot of people predicted Gimpo would do well, and they sort of are. And they're in 6th, a late penalty to get a point at Hwasong. Hwasong have become a bit more open and a bit more aggressive in recent weeks, and it's not really working for them, even though they're now scoring. Louis Mina, he converted that penalty late on for Gimpo, and he also missed one earlier in the game, so Gimpo may feel like they should have had 3 points. The big one, of course, is Daegu, now in 7th. They haven't won in 5. They were 1-0 up. They thought they were cruising. Sasini was back. But they were eventually beaten 2-1 by Cheonan. I must say, I said on the preview show that this was it's going to be a battle between Edgar and Cheonan's own talisman. But Edgar was dropped to the bench and didn't even play. Now, I know he's as old as us here on the podcast, but still, he's been phenomenal this season. So Park Ki-hyun gave Daegu the lead in that one. However, they were reduced to 10 men, and Lee Jun-ho scoring in the 95th minute, and of course Cheonan got that winner. And if you did listen to that previous show, you know who scored it, don't you? Gustavo Soyani. I said that would be a key battle, and Cheonan came out on top of the talisman war, partly because Daegu rushed the other talisman back a little too soon, perhaps. Asan Jeonnan drew 2-2, passed on that. Yongin sat this week out, but the other big result came at the foot of the table. Gimhae, they've got their 2nd point now in the K-League 2 with a 96-minute equaliser. Absolute scenes down there, meaning they're only on 2 points, but they're only 3 points off 14th place Jeonnam, with Gyeongnam and Yongin all in that relegation scrap. And of course, one of them is going to have a playoff or a relegation playoff, and their opponents, well, if you're a listener and you're a K3 follower, you can guess it. It's 7 wins and 7 for Shihung now. They were 2-1 down to Pocheon. They were 1-0 down to Pocheon. And then they made it back 2-1. Seo Yu-min grabbing a winner 10 minutes from time. Again, I said it before, if Shihung get hold of Jeonnam, Gyeongnam, Yongin or Gimhae right now, I think they'll win. So, really nervous times, I think, for anyone in that relegation scrap in the K-League 2.
So the K-League 2 table is pretty interesting at the minute. We've got Busan at the top of the table, and they're already 3 points clear of Blue Wings, and they play Blue Wings this weekend. So pick up a win there, another defeat for Blue Wings, they'll be 6 points clear of Blue Wings, and you might even see Blue Wings dropping down out of those top 2 spots. Eland are on fire, and they're creating a lot of opportunities when they're playing, lots of chances. And they've got goals in them as well. And with goals scored being so important, by the end of the season, you could see that Suwon are missing out because they've not scored enough goals. I mean, winning 1-0 away at Gyeongnam late on is not really anything to be dancing about. But yeah, as Andrew keeps talking about, they're getting the wins, but they're not really convincing anybody. Daegu, they're 11 points off the top already. People predicted them to go straight back up. I think more so than Suwon FC. Suwon FC were definitely less favoured in that conversation, but 11 points behind Busan already. Mike, what's going on with Daegu?
It's really hard to really put your finger on this one. I'm trying to think what's a good marker to compare them. If you look at Incheon last year, Incheon had a high quality side, way above any other team in the league, frankly speaking. But what I found was different with Incheon is I feel like Incheon could have won more games by a bigger margin, yet they didn't. Possibly because they also realised that it might put them at risk of losing games. They didn't, just like they've seen what happened to Blue Wings when they came down. They did not have it the way they thought they would. And Daegu have conceded a lot of goals, as you can see. So I'm trying to put my finger on it, because I was going to say, is it just the fact that the K2 has a lot of energy and intensity to it? So you can't just waltz into a game. and every team, as long as they keep up that energy, stays competitive. It's only when they run out of steam that you get a shellacking at this level. But actually, Daegu have the youngest first 11, I think, on average from what they've been playing. So it's not down to the fact that some of their main men, Edgar, again, he's approaching 40. Cecinia's back now, but he's 36 or so. Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard to put the finger on that. And I think it might be a genuine issue that they've got that healthy squad age. But maybe it's just the youth and the talismanic older players. It's not working that way. It's not working well. It perhaps worked for them for years in the K1 because they could get 3 points here, lose 2 games, get another 3 points. But that does not. There's just too much going on in the K2, and with that, and Daegu can't survive this time. They've got to win, and I think that's the biggest difference. I think they've only had 3 positive goal differences in their history. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. And they all came when they were a K2 side. And it's not good reading, I think, for Daegu fans. And already there's something significant. There's a significant problem there. They've got the tools to turn this around, I think, certainly. But too many teams like Eland and like Busan. I'm saying Blue Wings aren't even playing well, to be honest, and they're sat in second. It's already looking like it might be at least another year stay in the K-League 2 for Daegu.
Yeah, and that's not good because this year is the year that you can get out perhaps easy. We don't know exactly what's going to happen next year, 2027, with new teams joining, how they're going to do promotion and relegation, how many teams are going up and down after this year, because it's not been decided and won't be decided until about a month before next season starts. But looking at Daegu, they've already got a negative goal difference in K-League 2. They've conceded the most goals. They're on 17 goals conceded, which is more than Gimhae, who are bottom of the league. In comparison, Suwon Blue Wings have only conceded 2. So as much as we talk about Suwon Blue Wings not doing very well and not winning in it by a big enough margin, they're winning and they're grinding out results 1-0, which perhaps is where Daegu's going wrong because they're drawing 2-2 or 3-3. If I was going in there as manager, you'd probably look at the defence first, see what's going on, why they're conceding so many goals, because goals will cost you points. It's very interesting. And you've got a question as well, how long does Edgar have left? How long does Cecinia have left? If they stay down this year, will they be at the club next year? And if they're not, who will come in to replace them?
Just ask Songnam, Gyeongnam, Jeonnam, what happens when you get caught in the K2 net?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're looking at Jeonnam this season. Last year, they were playoff contenders for the majority of the season, and then this year they just can't get going. And I don't know if it's the managerial changes. I don't know if it's just that something's gone wrong. The players they could rely on, they perhaps can't this year. It's interesting. I think at the moment it's a lot more interesting than K-League 1 because we kind of essentially know what's happening in K-League 1 with Gimcheon being the team to go down, and perhaps one of the team if Gwangju don't sort themselves out and if Incheon don't get a few more points. I think Incheon should be fine, but Gwangju are the team that worry me particularly. They've not got a big fan base, they've not got a lot of money, they're playing in an empty stadium, so there's no atmosphere to drive the team on. I know we say it every week, but it does look as though Gwangju could be in trouble come the end of the season. Aside from Ansan, you took in another game this weekend, I believe, and you were in Incheon watching a game, but you weren't watching my Incheon. Can you explain more?
Yes, I was at the big 6-pointer between Incheon and Suwon on Friday night. And
Sounds familiar.
But we're talking about, obviously, the WK League in this one. So in that one, Suwon really... they won the league a few years ago, but they had an awful season last season. They've really stacked their team again, and I think they were much the better side on Friday night. But as we've seen across the whole weekend, being the better side doesn't always count. So Suwon eventually lost 2-1, courtesy of a Park made them a winner. Well taken as well. So Incheon now sit joint top with Mungyong Sangmu as they picked up their third win of the season at reigning champions Hwacheon. So a little bit all change in the WK League compared to last season.
Very good. And if you're interested in finding out more about the WK League, you can check our YouTube account, which is below the 38th. Mike has a video up there showing what life's like in the WK League, and hopefully we'll get to a few more games this season and get some more videos of those. Now, I think we've come to a nice organic end, put a little bow on it, everything's done. That is the weekend that was. Please follow us on Instagram, please follow us on YouTube and on Twitter, subscribe, share our stuff. And if you want to contribute, please get in touch. Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.